He was a lonely loser, but a deadly assassin becomes his maid and falls in love with him. Hito was just an average guy who was enjoying his summer vacation alone in the house as his parents had left on their second honeymoon. He stayed inside his room all day simping over 2D wafers and had turned his house into a dumpster. One morning, as he is sleeping in, someone rings his doorbell, and when he goes to the door, his security camera shows a pretty girl who is here to ask for a job as a maid. Having no idea what to do, Hito invites the girl inside and then asks her if she has any work experience. The girl tells him that she used to be an assassin and killed people who were disloyal to her master. Hito freaks out, and then the girl tells him that her master referred her to go and serve him. He asks her to tell him that she is just joking, but she is not, and he panics even more. He asks if he is somehow connected to her master, and the assassin maid tells him that his grandma used to know her master's son's third cousin's driver. Hito tells her that they are just strangers then, but he immediately realizes that he cut her off mid-sentence, and she might get angry because of that. He quickly changes the topic and asks the girl which field of assassination she specializes in, and she decides to give him a demo. She takes him to the backyard and throws a bunch of knives at a tree, creating a clean vertical line with them. Hito pisses his pants on seeing this and tells her that he doesn't have anyone he wants assassinated, and since he doesn't even know her master, she should just return back. The girl appears upset but accepts Hito's decision and apologizes for troubling him as she leaves. Hito heaves a sigh of relief as she goes, but then he notices that she forgot something. He runs after her, telling her that she forgot a bell. Just as he reaches the crossroad, he sees Trupkun is right in front of him, and he realizes that he is screwed. Luckily, the assassin maid leaps at him, saving him from getting ice-guyed. She feels oddly flustered as she rises up, saying that she has never saved anyone like this, so she doesn't know why her heart is beating so loudly. Hito is a bit taken aback at this, and then the maid leaves on her way. Suddenly, he has a change of heart and asks her if she can come and give him a test run of her abilities. Once they reach his house, the maid begins giving him a lecture on how to use knives, and Hito tells her that he just wants her to do some cleaning around the house. He points at all the bags in the room, and the assassin asks how many of these have bodies inside them. Hito panics as he tries to make her understand that he doesn't have anything to do with her line of work, and he just wants a normal housekeeper. He feels indebted to her for saving his life, so he wants to help her out, and the girl asks him will he hire her if she can be a good housekeeper. She tries her best, but within seconds after starting, she breaks the mop, spills water everywhere, and the bucket is on her head. She is anxious as she apologizes to Hito and says that she will clean up the mess quickly. However, she just slips on the wet floor, but before Hito can do anything to catch her, she shows her acrobatic skills and sticks a perfect landing. That perfect execution is spoiled by the bucket landing on top of her head again, and Hito asks her if she is always clumsy like this. She gets dejected at this and apologizes because she really has no idea how to do anything except killing. She says she will understand if Hito no longer wants to hire her, but he just takes away the bucket from her head and gives her a towel, saying that she can always learn new things. He helps in cleaning the house while teaching her, and soon they manage to make it spotless. Hito starts feeling hungry, but his new maid can't even cook, so he decides to help her out with that too. She takes up the task of chopping the vegetables and uses her masterful knife skills to shred cabbage within seconds. Hito then brings out some pork cutlets he bought earlier, and the girl doesn't even know what they are. She says that she never cared about the taste of food because it is only something that is needed for nutrition, and Hito takes it personally. He begins advertising the pork cutlets from a local shop, but the maid's reaction is still dull. Hito isn't disheartened and thinks that she will change her reaction when she tastes the cutlet. Suddenly, he realizes that he hasn't asked for her name yet. The maid tells him that she has no name, and being her employer, Hito is free to call her whatever he wants. He thinks about it, but can't come up with anything, so he decides to call her maid for the time being. He serves the food, and as they begin eating, he eagerly waits for the maid's reaction. Even though she cannot feel anything special about its taste, she feels a certain warmth from it that she has never felt before and tells him that it is delicious. However, when Hito tells her to try it with a special sauce that is like 90% MSG, she is overwhelmed by its taste. Later that night, Hito wakes up crying because of a terrible dream about his mom leaving him that he often has. He starts feeling hungry all of a sudden, so he decides to go to the kitchen to get some noodles. But to his shock, there is already someone inside. He fears that the assassin maid is actually trying to kill him by lowering his guard, so he nervously peeks inside the kitchen. He finds the maid there with a red smudge on her face and freaks out. But as she turns around with a bottle of sauce in his hand, he feels a sense of relief washing over him. The maid panics, but he tells her to relax because he understands what it is like to have midnight munchies. He prepares some leftover food and cup noodles for their midnight snack, and after eating, the maid asks Hito if he was having a bad dream just now. She says that while she was on her way to the kitchen, she heard groaning from his room, and fearing that someone was attacking him, she snuck inside, only to find him crying in his sleep. Hito feels embarrassed on hearing this, and then the maid says that he was calling out his mom's name multiple times. The maid then tells him about her dream in which there was a huge bottle of sauce that was talking to her, but when she went ahead to lick it, it vanished. Hito is dumbfounded to hear that, and then the maid tells him that this was a new experience for her, because till now all her dreams were about killing or getting killed. That is why she feels sad that Hito had a bad dream, and she didn't know how to comfort him. Hito tells her that it was not a big deal, because ever since his mom left the family, he often has dreams about her going away. He says that in childhood, whenever he had bad dreams, he would sleep in his mother's lap, and the maid immediately offers her thick thighs to be his pillow. Hito freaks out and says that he is no longer a child, and he understands that he can't rest on just anyone's lap. This suddenly makes the maid feel empty and useless, and she begins thinking about the words of her previous employer who told her that she was only good for killing. She begins to feel cold when suddenly, Hito the simp puts his head on her lap. The maid starts feeling warm and tells him to sleep on her lap for as long as he wants. The next day, the maid begins chopping up the trash to make it compact, and Hito is impressed. As he goes outside to throw the trash, he finds a puppy left at his door by someone so that he can look after it. Hito is pissed as he wonders if his house is some kind of orphanage to take in stray animals of every species when the maid finds a note in the box. It reads that the owner of the dog bought it thinking it would be a small breed, but it is actually a larger one, and he didn't have the money or time to raise one. So he left the puppy in front of the richest looking house in the neighborhood and now expects the person who found the dog to raise it. Hito is frustrated, but he still decides to adopt the dog because it won't survive outside in the summer heat. The maid is reminded of some deep trauma by his words and tells him that saving a life without consideration is not always the best thing to do, and those who are abandoned by others should become stronger to survive on their own. She tells Hito that if he shows sympathy towards the dog, he may come to regret his decision in the future. Hito simply replies that he doesn't get too philosophical about stuff like that. He lifts the puppy in his arms and asks the maid if she saved him yesterday out of sympathy or because it was simply her instinct to save someone's life. He says that it is the human instinct to save those they can, and then takes the puppy inside. Hito finds the puppy quite cute and fluffy and asks the maid if she wants to hold it too. She says she will pass and gets away as Hito takes the puppy towards her. Hito asks her if she is afraid of dogs, and she gets embarrassed as she affirms and says that she is a bit scared of them. However, she adds that if Hito orders her to hold the puppy and play with it, she will obey his command despite her fear. Hito tells her that she doesn't have to force herself and then asks why she is afraid of dogs. The maid tells him that when her master was training her to be an assassin, he left her in the forest with wild dogs, and that gave her enough trauma to last a lifetime. Hito says that is a serious problem because he is planning to keep the puppy in the house for the time being, and he was hoping that the maid would help out. His words hit her hard, and to become useful to her new master, she decides to overcome her fear and asks if she can hold the dog. Hito lets her hold the puppy, and the maid starts vibrating like an old Nokia phone while the puppy rests in her arms. He asks her what exactly she is afraid of, and she says that it has sharp claws and fangs. But Hito says that the dog looks quite cute and innocent. Suddenly, it begins chewing on the maid's finger, and she freaks out so much that she almost yeets the dog out of the window. Luckily, Hito stops her and takes the dog away, while the maid catches her breath on the ground. The dog starts biting Hito's fingers too, and he realizes that its teeth are itching. so he takes it to a nearby pet shop to get it checked and buy some necessary items. As they return home later, Hito thanks the maid for helping him with the shopping. She suddenly replies that she has never seen anyone as kind as Hito, because the orders he gives her are something she is not used to. Her previous job used to be about killing people, and failure was not an option. However, Hito has treated her kindly even after she has done almost everything incorrectly. She asks him what she can do to become more useful to him, and if she belongs with him at all. Before Hito can answer, the puppy begins running away, but he grabs it and then tells the maid that she must have wanted to stop being an assassin and live like a normal girl. He says that this is her chance, so she should not think too much about it. The maid suddenly realizes that for the entire time she worked as an assassin, she never really thought about giving up the job. Killing others was the only reason for her existence, and she thought that she would be useless if she stopped doing that. Suddenly, Hito tells her to look at the amazing sunset, and she goes next to him, thinking that if she stays with him, she might be able to learn and understand more about what she truly wants. Hito then tells her that when she first came to his house, he was really scared because he has never seen assassins in real life. However, after getting to know her, he realized that she was a good person at heart. Hearing that she is a good person reminds the assassin of the time she was a normal girl and her parents praised her. She suddenly asks Hito what she can do to become a normal girl again, and the first advice he gives her is about her failures. He says that since everything he asks her to do is new to her, it is normal that she will fail, so she should not let those failures burden her. Later, the maid begins preparing for dinner and chops cabbage like a normal person. She thinks that doing stuff normally is much easier and doesn't require intense concentration, and then begins thinking about dinner. Suddenly, the puppy comes to her and starts rubbing itself on her leg. The maid freaks out and points the knife at the puppy, thinking that it was trying to attack her from behind. However, as she sees it shake and collapse, she realizes that it was just hungry. She feeds the puppy and tries touching it to overcome her fear, but Hito enters the room just then and startles her. He is impressed that the maid fed the dog and thanks her. He then begins petting the puppy, and since it has really fluffy fur, he decides to name it Machai. Everyone likes that name, and then Hito emotes for no reason to tell the maid that she has become better at her job. She is really moved by receiving this appreciation and offers to take care of the puppy if he is busy. Hito is concerned about her phobia, but the maid tells him that she wants to become normal, and for that, she must overcome her fear first. Hito is impressed by her determination, and he guides her as she pets Machai and then holds it in her arms. She pets its belly and realizes that her fear was irrational and the puppy is really well behaved. After that, they sit down for dinner, and the maid falls in love with the sauce once again. She quickly finishes her plate, and when Hito asks if she wants a second serving, she says that she shouldn't bother her master for such things, but her body reacts in the opposite way and extends the plate. Hito tells her to stop hesitating so much all the time and feel free to ask if she wants anything. The maid immediately takes up the chance and asks him to name her. Hito begins asking her some routine questions before choosing a name. He asks about her birthday, and the only thing she has heard about her birthday is that it was snowing heavily on that day. Hito decides to name her Yuki, which means snow, but that brings back traumatic memories for the girl. Her previous master also called her Yuki because she was cold-blooded just like snow. She hated that name, but as Hito talks about how much he loves snow and winter, she accepts the name. She smiles as she thanks Hito for giving her this name and then begins repeating it like a silly Pokemon. The next day, as Yuki is playing with Machai, Hito comes up to her with a piercing gun because he is planning to get a piercing to look cool in front of his friends. He tells her that he is not confident enough to do it by himself, so he asks Yuki to do it for him. She takes up the task, but as she is about to punch a hole in his ear, she suddenly backs down. She begins trembling as she asks Hito if this is her punishment for doing something that he didn't like. She says that she is afraid of piercing Hito's body, and he asks her if she didn't used to pierce people on a bigger scale. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, and Yuki goes to see who it is. Outside the door, Hito's younger sister Riko is eagerly waiting for him to open the door because he texted her about getting a dog, and she wants to see it. Yuki opens the door for her, and she is dumbfounded on seeing a girl in her brother's house. Once Riko gets inside, she is amazed at how clean the house is, but more than that, she finds it hard to digest that her brother has got a pretty maid. She begins pulling his cheeks as she asks why he did not tell her before, and he replies that their mom would be concerned if he told her about this situation. He called their dad about hiring a maid, and he just gave him an okay. Riko begins pulling his cheeks again, and then Yuki asks the siblings if they live in different homes. Riko suddenly turns bashful and faces away from her as Hito explains that his sister likes beautiful people and things, which is the only reason he didn't tell her about Yuki. Anyway, the two girls introduce themselves, and Riko remarks that Yuki has a pretty name. She thanks her and says that Hito gave her this name because she used to be an assassin and didn't have a fixed name. Hito tries to stop her, but the damage is already done, and Riko freezes as she hears this. However, she is not afraid of Yuki but awed because she is both beautiful and strong. Riko asks her to give an autograph, but finds that her handwriting is crude and childish, much to her disappointment. Yuki gets concerned on seeing Riko and Hito's reaction, and tells them that she is not good at writing but can speak 12 languages fluently. Riko is even more impressed and decides to do her summer vacation project on Yuki. She tells her to start by showing off her assassin skills, and Hito asks his sister to stop. He tells her not to write anything that can land Yuki in trouble, but she says that she will just pass it off as fiction. She turns to Yuki again, who asks her to come to the backyard to see her abilities. There, Riko stands with an apple on her head, and she doesn't even doubt Yuki's aim as she gets ready to throw a knife at her. Yuki hits the apple right in the center, and Riko is really thrilled to see it. She asks Yuki where she brought out that knife from, and the maid replies that she had it inside her clothes. Originally, she used to carry 16 knives, but Hito told her they were too much, so she only has 5 right now. After that, as Riko is asking more questions, her stomach suddenly growls for food, and Hito laughs as he says that it is almost lunchtime. Riko asks Yuki to make her signature dish for her, but the only thing she knows in the name of cooking is shredding cabbage. However, they are not herbivores to eat just that, so they go out and have some Big Macs. Riko sees a poster of a summer festival that is going to be organized tonight, and Hito tells Yuki that they sell a special type of sauce at the festival. Yuki starts drooling as she hears that, and she requests Hito to take her there, which he happily accepts. The three of them go to the festival and try out a shooting game. Riko fails to hit anything, and Yuki takes up the gun to show that she has some skills. However, she can't hit anything either because the gun is crooked, and she begins to doubt whether she is fit to be an assassin. After that, they go goldfish scooping, and Yuki shows her skills this time. Next, they go to the sauce shop, and Yuki relishes the crackers coated with delicious sauce. Riko runs away to buy something to drink, and Hito and Yuki decide to wait for her nearby. As they wait, Hito asks Yuki if she has ever been to festivals before, and she says that she has gone to festivals, but that was only to kill her targets. She looks gloomy as she recalls her dark past, but then suddenly, the fireworks start, and she is awestruck at seeing them. Soon, Riko returns with the drinks and sits between them to see the fireworks. Later, they head home, when suddenly, a biker comes speeding towards them. They hear someone scream that he is a robber who has stolen their stuff, and he almost runs over Riko, but Yuki saves her. Hito goes to check on them, and he finds that her sister might have awakened a kink after Yuki held her in her arms. He is glad that no one is harmed, but he is angry at the biker for robbing innocent people and putting the lives of bystanders in danger. He says that people like him should be punished, and Yuki accepts that as her mission. She begins climbing the building and chasing after the robber like Spider-Man before Hito even has the chance to tell her to stop, and Riko says that they must catch up to Yuki because she wants to see her beat up the robber. They follow Yuki as she jumps through the roofs, and she soon finds the biker. She leaps from the building and throws 2 knives to blast his tires, sending him crashing into an alley. Hito and Riko reach the place just as Yuki gets close to the robber with knives drawn. Hito freaks out and asks Yuki not to kill him, but she just taps his helmet, saying this is his punishment. Hito is relieved as Yuki turns back and tells him that this is what she thinks a normal punishment is because the woman he robbed has arrived on the scene with a policeman to arrest the biker. Hito and the girls head to their home, and Riko tells Yuki that her friends at school will be really surprised when she tells them about her. Yuki is curious to hear about her school because she has never been to one. Riko tells her that school is a fun place as long as the silent kid doesn't bring a semi-automatic, because they can make friends and learn stuff. She then begins to run towards her house, and hearing her words has made Yuki interested in attending a school. She tells Hito that maybe attending a school will help her in becoming normal, and he agrees, wondering if she is even eligible to attend school at her age. Anyway, time passes and the summer vacations come to an end. As Hito goes back to school to start a new high school year, he wonders if Yuki will be alright by herself at home. Suddenly, one of his delinquent friends comes there and asks if he has heard the news about a pretty maid cosplayer in the town. Hito spits out his drink on hearing that and then acts like he doesn't know anything about that to avoid further questioning. One of his friends says that he has seen the pretty maid at the library sometimes, and Hito is curious about why Yuki would go to the library. Just then, their teacher enters the class and tells everyone that they have a new transfer student with them today. The new student is none other than Yuki, and Hito freaks out as he sees her. The teacher introduces her as Hito's cousin and tells her to sit in front of him. Hito still can't process what is happening, but as Yuki turns to him and says that she is looking forward to studying with her master, the entire class suddenly becomes jealous of him. The rest of the day is incredibly tough on Hito, and as Riko comes to see him after the school, he has pretty much turned to stone. He suddenly realizes that Riko was behind everything, and she leaps up with joy, telling him that this was her big surprise for him. Hito is disappointed, but as they walk home, Riko says that Yuki was a really fast learner, and she learned the basics of everything in just 3 days. Hito says that he is more curious about other things, like how Yuki got admission into the school and specifically in his class. He asks why she had to pretend to be his cousin and why they kept it a secret from him. Yuki says that it was Riko's idea to pretend to be his cousin because that would give her a believable backstory. As for getting the admission, she pulled a few strings with her connections to the underworld. She then says that Riko asked her not to tell Hito anything about the admission because it would be more fun to see his reaction when he finds it out later. Hito smacks Riko for this, and Yuki is worried that he is upset. He tells her that he is not upset but only shocked, and then says that they should enjoy their high school life together from now on. The next day, as soon as the lunch break starts, all the students begin rushing to the cafeteria to buy the special Katsuta bread that is only sold 1 day per week. Yuki is curious about that, and Hito tells her that the Katsuta bakery is really famous, and the school has a tie-up with them so that they can sell their delicious bread to the students once a week. Since it is rare, there are only a few pieces, and everyone rushes to be the first person to buy it. He begins telling her about the different versions of the bread they have, including one that has a delicious sauce inside it. That was all Yuki needed to hear, and she tells Hito that she will get the bread for both of them. He tells her that it will be hard because their classroom is the farthest away from the cafeteria, but Yuki is not ready to back down. She jumps out of the window and reaches the rooftop, and Hito follows her as he asks her to stop. However, as he looks at the look of determination on her face, he realizes that it is pointless to try and stop her. Yuki runs on the railing, her entire focus on reaching the Katsuta store before others. Seeing her determination, Hito is reminded of his sister whenever she wants to eat desserts, and he thinks that no one can stop girls when they are after something they really want to eat. Just then, he notices a group of hardcore Katsuta bread fans rushing towards the store, and he fears that things will get odd if Yuki lands in front of them. However, Yuki takes a shortcut and leaps from one building to another, perfectly balancing her landing on the new building's railing. She then lands on the ground, right in front of the bread store, and gracefully walks inside as she orders a stuffed bread for herself and a sandwich for Hito. However, once she returns to Hito, she is shuddering with disappointment because the woman at the store told her that one person can buy only one bread. She apologizes to Hito because she bought the stuffed bread and then got a regular stuffed bread for him from the cafeteria. Hito says that he will eat the regular bread, and Yuki meekly offers him the Katsuta bread. He tells her to eat it because he has eaten it before, and it will not be fair if he eats it when she was the one who won it. Yuki is really happy and begins eating the stuffed bread, and Hito is happy just by seeing her. Suddenly, Yuki breaks a part of the bread to feed him, and Hito gets flustered as she shoves it deep into his throat. Later that night, Riko comes to his house to spend the night with Yuki. She tells Hito that she always wanted an older sister, and at one point she even imagined him to be a female. Hito tells her to rein in her imagination, and Riko tells him that she has come up with a better idea to make Yuki into her older sister. She says that Hito should marry Yuki and bring her into the family, which will be the perfect ending for everyone. Hito gets flustered as Riko says that Yuki is clearly into him, and he tries denying that. Riko says that he won't understand a girl's feelings, but she can clearly see that Yuki may confess to him any moment now. She says that their mom will probably be okay with the wedding, but she is not so sure about their dad. Just then, Yuki comes there and asks who is going to get married. Hito panics, but Riko doesn't even hesitate as she tells Yuki that she would love it if she marries her brother. She asks Yuki if she likes Hito, and she affirms, saying that she admires him a lot. Hito is really close to losing his mind, but then Riko changes the topic and says that she wants to eat some fruits. They go outside to eat some fruits while enjoying the fresh air, and Riko begins shipping Hito and Yuki together again. She tells her that once Hito turns 18, she can legally marry him since she is already older than him. Yuki panics a bit because she has no idea what marriage means, but Riko tells her that it is nothing that she can't handle. Hito tries to get his sister to shut up, but she asks him if he won't be happy if he gets to marry a pretty and dependable girl like Yuki. He blushes because he cannot deny that, and Riko says that her point has been proved. On the next school day, Hito is feeling sleepy because Riko kept them up all night. Suddenly, the teacher notices him sleeping and throws a chalk right at his head, but Yuki uses her skills to swiftly slash it in half. However, her move backfires as the two halves of the chalk hit both of Hito's eyes, and she panics because she thought they would miss his head like in the movies. The teacher and the rest of the class are in disbelief too, because they don't understand how the chalk split into two. Hito goes to the infirmary to get his eyes checked, and he is surprised to find a beautiful new nurse there. She introduces herself as Nita and then begins examining Hito's eyes as she asks about his relationship with Yuki. He stammers as he says that she is his cousin, and Nita laughs, saying that they look nothing alike. She says that Hito is exactly her type, and he doesn't know how to respond to that. She finishes checking him and says that his eyes are not damaged. Then she suddenly goes to the door and locks it before throwing Hito in the bed and saying that she is going to check the rest of his body to see if he needs more medical help. Hito gets flustered as Nita climbs on top of him, saying that she will give him the best first time ever. Hito freaks out, saying that even the lamest corn videos have more emotional development than this before they get to action. The nurse doesn't care about that, and she is almost about to kiss him when the door lock breaks and Yuki comes inside looking for Hito. She was worried and came to see him as soon as the class ended, and she is shocked to see him getting pinned by another woman. Hito is relieved to see her and immediately runs to hide behind her. Yuki asks Nita what she was doing, and she says that it was just a prank she likes to pull on cute innocent boys. Hito doesn't believe her because he was almost about to be devoured, but Nita just dismisses his worries. She tells him to come and take some eye drops, but he is uneasy about approaching her. Nita keeps teasing him, and then suddenly, Yuki pulls him towards herself. She tells the nurse to stay away from Hito, and he starts to blush as he realizes that Yuki got jealous. She takes Hito out of the nurse's office, with Nita telling both of them to come here if they have any problems later. Yuki doesn't leave Hito's hand till they come to a quiet spot, and then apologizes for pulling him earlier. She then says that she has something important to tell him, and Hito's heart skips a beat as he thinks she is going to confess to him. However, Yuki shocks him by saying that Nita is definitely an assassin like her, and they should really be wary of her. She is absolutely correct, as Nita is indeed an assassin with lofty ambitions. She wants to create a harem of handsome and muscular models and live a lavish life somewhere in Greece. To do that, she became an assassin and killed a lot of people, and now her end goal is finally in sight. Her current mission is to eliminate Yuki, and once she does that, she will have enough money to live the life she always wanted. Meanwhile, in Hito's home, he is trying to sleep, but that is incredibly hard with Yuki keeping watch over him. He asks her to let him sleep in peace, and Yuki refuses because she is worried about Nita attacking him while he is asleep. She says that she needs to stay on guard so that the vile woman doesn't come here, but Hito says he can't sleep with her staring at him. Yuki has a better idea in that case, and she lies on the bed with Hito, who is flustered and jittery now. He hides himself behind a blanket because he doesn't want to see what is rising inside him, but then tells her that he is more worried about her than himself. He suspects that Nita might be after Yuki's life, and she immediately begins thinking about that possibility. She tells Hito not to worry too much about her because she can deal with someone on Nida's level in her sleep. She begins wondering how Nida found out about her, realizing that her past is catching up to her, and she has involved Hito in it too. She suddenly holds his hand, telling him not to worry about anything because she will keep him safe no matter the cost. Hito starts blushing at this, and he gets up, saying that he also wants her to stay safe even though he is powerless to do anything. He suddenly decides to open the window to get some fresh air, but Yuki says she will do it since there is always the danger of snipers. As soon as she unlocks the window, she suddenly smells her favorite sauce and wonders where the scent is coming from. As she is engrossed in finding out the source of the delicious smell, she suddenly hears Nida's voice, telling her that she has lost her touch. The Catwoman cosplayer had infiltrated the room while Yuki was distracted, and Hito is already in her grasp. She tells Yuki that she has become softer because of playing house with this boy, and she fell for such an obvious trap. Nida asks if she really was the famous assassin known as the White Wolf of the Dragon's Nine. Yuki pulls out a knife, but Nida asks her to hold her horses because she is going to poke Hito's eyes out before she can do anything to her. Suddenly, Yuki releases a menacing aura and begins talking in Chinese. She threatens Nida that if she does anything to harm Hito, she will make her regret it so much that she will beg for death. Nida is scared of her, and she decides to back away from harming Hito. She tells Yuki that she only has business with her because she has a commission to kill her. However, she knows that the difference in their skills is too vast, and she won't be able to do anything against her without a hostage. That is why Nida decides to take Hito with her and tells Yuki to meet her in the school grounds at 2 in the night if she wants him alive. After she leaves, Yuki begins recalling the words of her teacher, who told her that no matter what she does, she will always remain a bloody assassin whose only purpose on Earth is to kill people. Yuki admits that it is true, and she decides to stop living in the delusion that she can be normal. She decides to kill Nida, eliminate all proof, and when Hito's safety has been ensured, she will leave the country for good and resume working as an assassin. However, she recalls that Hito wanted her to be safe and stay with him, and realizes that she wants the same thing. On the other hand, Nida has brought Hito to school and tied him up with some bondage gear that she always keeps in her purse in case she is feeling freaky. Hito is rather calm about the situation, and Nida asks if he is not afraid that he can die any moment, and it will all be Yuki's fault. She asks him if he hates the maid now, and Hito replies that even though he is scared, he has faith in Yuki that she will protect him. Nida is impressed that he can say such things even in this situation and tells him that she really didn't want to drag him into this battle, but she needed to do this to fight against the fearsome assassin Zhu. Hito asks her who is Zhu, and Nida asks him if he doesn't know her original name that was famous in the underworld. She says that Yuki was not just an assassin, she was a monster. She begins saying that there were a lot of scary people in the underworld, but Yuki was on another level. She was a cold-blooded, ruthless killer who showed no emotions as she offed people. Not only that, Yuki was the number 4 in the clan of the greatest assassins in the world named Dragon's Nine. Nida explains that Dragon's Nine gathers talented individuals around the world and raises them as master assassins, and they have been involved in almost every major upheaval in history. However, since they are so powerful and important, they have a lot of enemies too, and there is a huge price on their heads. Nida says that if she kills Yuki, she will get a lot of money, and her reputation will also grow, landing her even more high-paying jobs. Hito is not impressed by her ambitions and asks if she is really talking about Yuki, who is just a 16-year-old girl who is emotionless one moment, and the very next moment she has everything visible on her face. Nida screams at him that she is sure that Yuki is the assassin named Zhu because she has been spying on her since the last few weeks. She suddenly starts thinking that Hito is not a regular person because no one would be so calm in a situation where their life is in danger. On top of that, he melted the stone-cold heart of Yuki, and now Nida is sure that there is something extraordinary about him. However, she plans to use that to her advantage because she knows that Yuki will try everything she can to protect him, and she will become more vulnerable while doing that. As soon as the clock strikes 2, Yuki comes there. She starts running towards Nida, who shoots her, but Yuki easily slashes the bullets away. Nida immediately switches to the next part of her plan and shoots the ground, activating the trip mine she had buried there. Yuki realizes it only after the trip mine is activated, and a powerful explosion engulfs her. Nida laughs, thinking she won, and Hito is horrified. However, Yuki is unharmed, and she lunges through the smoke to attack Nida, who barely blocks her attack. She then tries to taunt Yuki by saying that if she tells her real past to Hito, he will never let her stay by his side. However, Yuki ignores her taunts and tells her to stop yapping. She says that Hito has school tomorrow, and staying out this late will cause him to be sleepy in class. Nida begins yelling because no one is taking her seriously, and she tells Yuki to stay silent and let her beat her to death if she doesn't want Hito to lose all his limbs. She presses a few buttons on her smartphone, and suddenly, Hito gets lasers pointed at both his arms and legs. Nida says that there is a sniper gun pointed at each of his limbs, and she just needs to press one more button to reduce Hito into a torso. She tells Yuki to give up now, but instead, Yuki dashes towards her without hesitation. Nida presses the button in a state of panic, but then Yuki draws out 4 knives and throws them towards the laser light, deflecting the bullets with them. Nida freaks out because she didn't expect this to happen. She tries activating another trap she has set up, but then one of Yuki's knives comes flying and destroys her smartphone. She screams because it was brand new and she hasn't got insurance on it. Yuki comes up to her, and the scared Nida points her gun at Hito, only to get it kicked away. Yuki hits her and throws her on the ground, and Nida fears that she is going to die now. She tries distracting Yuki by telling her that she will never get to live a normal life because she is still an assassin, and countless people will come to kill her. Nida asks Yuki if she will keep killing them, and then pretend that this is a normal life. But Yuki replies that she will no longer kill anyone, and will not let anyone die because of her either. She frees Hito from the restraints and goes home, while Nida is still in disbelief. She realizes that all the rumors she heard about Yuki were true, and she is someone who will go to the depths of hell to get what she wants. Fortunately, she didn't want to kill her, or she would have done that ages ago. Nida suddenly starts laughing, relieved that she survived facing one of the deadliest assassins in the world. On the other hand, as Hito and Yuki are walking home, Yuki suddenly apologizes to him for what happened today. She says that if Hito wants, she can go away from his life forever so that he stays safe. Hito notices the sadness in her voice as she says this, so he simply holds her hand and asks her to teach him some self-defense techniques so that he can be helpful to her the next time. Yuki gets emotional on hearing this, and they happily head back to their home. The next day at school, the girls play volleyball, and Yuki keeps scoring points with her powerful serve. The boys simp over her from the sidelines, and they find it hard to believe that such a perfect girl is related to Hito. He is not really disappointed by this comparison because he has seen how awesome Yuki truly is. He remembers the last night that felt straight out of an action movie, and he still gets goosebumps as he thinks about it. He is curious about Yuki's past, but he does not want to make her uncomfortable by asking about it. Soon, the game stops, and as Yuki smiles at Hito, all the boys get jealous of him. They begin staring at him with contempt, and Hito decides to shrug them off. As he is lost in thoughts, a volleyball comes flying straight at his face, but luckily, someone stops it in time. Hito looks up to see that it is Nida, who has suddenly dyed her hair blonde, and she flirts with him as she asks if he is alright. Hito gets really nervous now, as he is facing the person who tried to kill him last night, and on top of that, all the boys are even more jealous of him now. Nida sits next to him, rubbing their shoulders together as she asks Hito not to be cold to her, and he enters a flashback to explain how this happened. This morning, as he and Yuki came to school, they came face to face with Nida in her changed getup. Yuki was on guard against her, but Nida told her that she did not mean any harm. She explained that she is no longer going to act as a nurse in the school because she had come up with a new original character. Now she is going to be the new physical education teacher who has come here from another town, and she is also Hito's cousin. Hito was shocked to hear this and tells her that they look nothing together, but Nida says that he doesn't need to worry about that. She then revealed that she is a master of gathering information and disguising herself, but this blonde look is her original self. Yuki asked her what the hell is she doing here, and Nida replied that she loves interesting things the most, and seeing the legendary assassin serve a wimp was really amusing. That is why she plans to stay at the school to observe them. She once again declares that she has no hostility towards them and promises not to try to harm Hito ever again. However, that was not enough to make a deal, so she offered Yuki 3 months' worth of Katsuta bread in exchange for trusting her. Yuki took the deal without hesitation and told Hito not to worry because even in their line of business, they don't kill civilians on a whim. She believed that Nida had learned her lesson, and she wouldn't dare mess with them again. Even if she does that, Yuki was confident that she could deal with people like her in her sleep. That was how they agreed to let Nida observe them in secret, but it seems she has forgotten about the secret part. She clings to Hito, telling him that she doesn't like the job of a physical education teacher, but it is the job where she can slack the most. She begins getting even closer to Hito and whispering dirty things in his ears to make him flustered. Because of that, Yuki gets angry and forgets to hold back her strength when she hits the ball. The ball tears through the net and smashes the wall, and Yuki gets nervous as the girls ask her the reason for her superhuman strength. After that, Hito and Yuki have lunch together, and she apologizes for losing control earlier. He tells her that it was not her fault, and then Yuki begins telling him that even though she is sure that Nida doesn't mean any harm, she felt odd seeing her close with Hito. She asks if this is normal or is she behaving oddly, and Hito realizes that Yuki got jealous because another girl got close to him. A couple days later, as Yuki is doing the household chores, she opens the washing machine to collect the washed clothes, and when she finds that the towels are clean and dried, she is elated. She runs to tell the good news to Hito because she had been struggling to wash them properly for the last month. He praises her, and then Yuki resumes doing her chores. Hito asks her what they should have for dinner, and she tells him that they should eat shredded cabbage with pork cutlet and the special sauce. Hito agrees, and he takes her to the famous shop where he buys the pork cutlets from. The shriveled old lady at the shop takes Hito's order and then asks him about Yuki, who is sticking her face to the glass window as she drools on seeing huge amounts of sauce inside. She then notices the old man in the shop chopping up the pork cutlets. His whole body trembles normally, but as he is about to chop the cutlet, he suddenly becomes perfectly calm and cuts them into neat pieces. Yuki is awed by this and thinks that he must also be a master assassin to have such great skills despite his age, and Hito doesn't want to stop her imagination. The old lady asks him what the girl is rambling about, and to cover up for her, Hito tells her that Yuki is a big fan of their sauce. The old lady is glad to hear that, and she tells Yuki that she was the one who came up with the recipe. Yuki is awestruck on hearing this, and she asks the woman if she is a god. She thanks the old woman, explaining how much her sauce means to her. Yuki says that she could never feel the taste of food till she tasted the sauce, and the old lady smiles as she tells her that she might be missing some warmth and happiness in her life that made her unable to appreciate the taste of food. She says that Yuki must have been able to taste the sauce because she was happy, and she thinks that it is the truth. As Yuki is busy thinking about the happiness she found after meeting Hito, the old man in the shop suddenly arrives behind her and pats her shoulder, telling her that there was some dust there. Yuki is shocked because she didn't even feel his presence, and now she is certain that he is a legendary assassin, and she becomes a fan. After that, she tastes some fresh sauce and feels on top of the world, and then they return home to have dinner. After dinner, as Yuki is doing the dishes, Hito tries searching about the Dragon's 9 on Google, but the search results say that it is just a Chinese legend. He wonders if he should ask Yuki about it, but then decides against it because she is trying really hard to move on from her past. He falls asleep on the couch and has a dream about his mom leaving them. He cries, asking for her to stay and chases after her, when suddenly, his dream ends and he finds himself in Yuki's arms. He freaks out as he feels something jiggly hit his chin, and Yuki asks if he was having the nightmare about his mom again. He affirms, and Yuki offers him a nap on her juicy thighs to get over the dream. Hito gets flustered and refuses her, but then suddenly, his smartphone drops with the Chrome tab still open. Yuki finds that he was searching about her previous organization and asks if he is curious. Hito says that he wanted to know more about her, and Yuki tells him that she can't tell him much about the Dragon's 9 because she doesn't know it well. She says that she was just a mindless killer, whose sole focus was on doing her jobs properly so that she was not discarded. That is why she doesn't know much about the underground organization. She tells Hito that she is so deeply scarred by living the life in darkness that she still finds the ordinary things in her new life dazzling. She says that she is glad that she came to Hito and got a chance to become normal, and he tells her that he is also glad that she came to him. He turns red with embarrassment as he says that, and then Yuki decides to tell him more about herself. She says that she wanted him to lay down on her lap because the first day they did it, she felt like she could truly help him. Hito gets even more flustered on hearing this, and he decides to tell her something in return as well. He says that while his dream just now started as a nightmare, as he kept running after his mom, he entered the light where Yuki came to save him like an angel. The next day, Yuki finishes all her chores as usual and then goes to the market for grocery shopping. All the guys in the market keep staring at her, but Yuki doesn't pay them any mind. She starts picking up some vegetables, and the old shopkeeper helps her. Just then, a girl comes to Yuki and nervously tells her that she has been watching her for a long time, and she found her really pretty and cool. Yuki is glad to receive the compliment, and then the girl says that she also wants to be like her. She asks her where she got that uniform, because it is not something normal people wear, and she wants it too. Yuki is shocked because the girl told her that normal people don't wear maid uniforms. Soon, Hito comes there because he had to buy some magazines too, and as soon as Yuki sees him, she asks him if maid uniforms are not normal. Well, Hito tells her the truth, and on the next Sunday, they decide to go shopping and get her some casual clothes. Riko is already waiting for them at the shopping complex, but to Hito's shock, Nida is also there. He asks her what the hell is she doing here, and she tells him that she had planted a bug in his room and learned about his plans. Hito tells her to get away, but Nida tells him that he needs some expert advice on what clothes to buy for Yuki, and she is the best candidate. Riko is curious now, and she asks if this cool and mature woman is also an assassin, and Nida affirms before choking her with her marshmallows, and Riko awakens yet another kink. Riko says that she knows a store where they can get nice clothes for Yuki and then takes them to a cosplay store and makes her try an even more eye-catching maid uniform. She begins snapping pictures because this was the only reason she brought Yuki here, but Yuki doesn't like the dress since it is not convenient. The next dress she tries is quite short, and Yuki doesn't like it either because it is not good for hiding knives. Hito tells her that she doesn't need knives because she is no longer an assassin, but she tells him that she feels calm just by having knives with her. After that, they go to a normal shop, where Yuki tries on some normal clothes and Riko and Nida put a swimsuit in the mix too. They ask Hito which one he likes the best, and he says that he prefers Yuki in a long white dress. Nida begins making fun of his fantasies, and Hito does not want to stay around her anymore. Anyway, they buy pretty much everything Yuki tried and begin heading home. Suddenly, they spot a Halloween item store, and Riko rushes inside to buy some costumes. She dresses up as a witch, and Yuki does the same but better. Nida dresses up like the cops on the hub, and Riko likes her style. They start bonding over their twisted fantasies, while Hito and Yuki watch them from a distance. Hito says that Riko really likes Halloween, but he is not that interested. Suddenly, he sees a poster for a popular zombie movie and asks Yuki if she would like to see it. The other girls are ready to see the movie, but Yuki says that she has never seen one. Hito asks if she has never even been to a cinema hall, and Yuki says that she has been there, but it was only to take advantage of the dark and assassinate some targets. Hito feels awkward now, but he tells Yuki that she should experience seeing a movie this time. They go to the cinema hall, and Nida falls asleep mid-movie, but Yuki is deeply engrossed in it. She grows afraid as the movie continues, and by the time it ends, she has developed a phobia of zombies. Riko tells her that zombies are slow and stupid, and she can deal with them without even trying. Yuki agrees, but says that she hates the smell of rotten bodies. She then says that since zombies are already dead, she can't even kill them. She begins trembling with fear, so Hito decides to treat the girls to some desserts to calm her. They share the desserts with each other, and a shy pink-haired girl watches them from across the road. Suddenly, a man grabs her hand and tells her that she dropped her guard. He tells the girl named Naka that she won't be able to become a good assassin like this and tells her to stop getting distracted and stick to the training. She apologizes and says she will focus on training, but then her attention again goes to Hito and the girls who are having fun. Later, Nida leaves for her house, and Riko tells her that next time they should go shopping just by themselves. Hito decides to drop Riko to her home, and Yuki says she will return home and start preparing dinner. After they leave, she stares at her reflection in the shop window and begins thinking about the significance of the maid uniform in her life. Once she gets home, she changes back into the maid uniform and goes to check on Machai and finds that his toys and rugs are all dirty. She says she will clean them now, but Machai runs away with the rug. She tries chasing him, but then suddenly, the weather turns stormy. As thunder roars in the sky, Yuki suddenly gets paranoid and starts imagining a zombie attack. In the meantime, Machai keeps fooling around and hits a table in the kitchen, causing cold soup to fall on him. Yuki is even more scared after hearing that sound, and when Machai walks to her with a dirty towel on his head, she freaks out and attacks him, thinking it is a zombie. When Hito returns home, he finds that Yuki has shredded Machai's towel because of her paranoia, and now the dog is sad. Yuki apologizes and promises to mend the towel, and even though Hito doesn't think it is possible, he tells her to do as she wishes. He notices that she has changed back into the maid uniform and asks if she did not like the clothes they bought. Yuki says that she really liked them, but she could not get herself to move on from the maid uniform, which was a gift from her previous master. He was an ailing old man who helped her get away from the life of an assassin, and in the end, he was the one who sent her to Hito. That is why she wants to keep wearing the maid uniform since it reminds her of him. Yuki asks Hito if it is weird for her to keep wanting this uniform that is not normal and being afraid of zombies when she is an assassin. He tells her that it is not weird because it is normal for people to like things that have strong memories attached to them and to fear things that scare them. He tells her to stop thinking about how the world sees her and become a version of normal that suits her. Yuki is glad to hear that, and then Machai starts running around the room because he wants to get his towel mended. Hito lifts him up and realizes that this was the towel he had when he was left at his door, and he thinks that Machai is attached to the tower that reminds him of his family. Yuki understands how the dog feels because her bell is the only thing that reminds her of her sister, who is far away from her. Hito is shocked to hear that and asks Yuki if she really has a sister, but she just keeps staring at him blankly. The next day, Hito and Yuki go to a ramen shop along with Nida, because she is the only one who can help them in finding information about Yuki's sister. She tells Yuki that it is his treat, and after gulping down the entire bowl of ramen faster than Naruto ever could, she says that it is not enough to buy her services. Hito lashes at her and asks to split the bill, but Yuki is not paying them any attention since she is busy adding her favorite sauce to the ramen. Nida freaks out at that because she is a self-proclaimed disciple of Gordon Ramsay, and she says that it is a sin to add sauce to perfectly made ramen. Yuki doesn't hear her rambling, but then she notices that she has almost run out of the sauce, and she grows worried. So Hito takes her to the shop to buy some sauce, but the tiny old lady tells her that they have already run out of sauce since all the students in the area bought it, and now they only have enough to meet their regular business needs. Yuki says that it is fine, but Hito can hear the sound of her heart breaking. As they head back home, Yuki stares at the small amount of sauce left in the bottle, and says that she will use it wisely so that it lasts an entire week. Hito wants to snap her out of this gloomy mood, and he asks her about her sister. He asks what will she say to her when they finally meet, and Yuki says that she doesn't even remember her sister's face. She explains that she was taken away from her family at a young age, and her memories with them are faint and scattered. The only thing she knows about her sister is that their mother gave them identical bell accessories, and she has always been carrying hers around, hoping that she can identify her sister when she sees her. Yuki then says that she is scared to see her sister again, because she might have a grudge against her. Hito feels nervous and asks if he should tell Nida not to look for her, but Yuki says that even though she is afraid, she will be happy to learn that her sister is doing well. Just then, Hito's friends arrive there and ask them if they are out shopping together. Hito is surprised to see them, and they tell him that they came here to buy the latest album of their favorite singer Nazca, who is also going to perform at the local festival soon. Suddenly, the short friend begins to get jealous of how close Hito and Yuki are, and he finds it suspicious that recently two pretty women related to him have joined the school. The halfling is jealous that Hito doesn't spend time with them now, but the tall guy tells him to calm down because at least Hito is happy because of Yuki. They begin telling her about how dark and edgy Hito was during his middle school years, and he tries shutting them up. In the tussle, the signed album is tossed away from his friend's hand, and Yuki tries to save him by throwing her bag to stop the album from going down the drain. However, in doing so, the sauce bottle is yeeted out of her bag, and the entire sauce is spilled on the floor, devastating Yuki. That night, she has a nightmare where the giant sauce bottle is empty and angry at her, and when Hito comes to wake her up the next morning, Yuki tells him that she has no reason left to live. Hito comforts her, saying that she can buy the sauce the next week, and she tells him that she had another dream, but doesn't reveal the details. The next night too, Yuki has the same terrible dream, and she runs to Hito's room, asking him to sleep with her because she is too scared to sleep alone. He gets flustered on hearing this, and then tells her that he is pulling an all-nighter for the upcoming test, so he can stay awake by her side till she feels better. As they drink coffee, Yuki suddenly tells Hito that he is a man with great character, and then asks him if he has ever hated someone. He thinks about it, and says that he won't call it hate, but he disliked his father because of some things that happened in the past, but that is what family relationships are about. His words remind Yuki of her sister telling her that she hates her, and she decides to go back to her room, saying that she is just disturbing Hito here. Once she falls asleep, she sees the empty sauce bottle telling her that she abandoned it and her sister, and now everyone hates her because she is a cold-blooded killer. The sauce bottle shows her that even Hito and Riko hate her, and then begins unraveling her past. When Yuki was a child, she was a genius who could speak 15 languages at the age of 7. She was on the way of becoming a celebrity because of her intelligence and cuteness, but she was only interested in making her parents happy. They lived happily, but then on her 7th birthday, they had an unexpected guest. As her parents go to open the door in her dreams, Yuki tries to stop them, because she knows horrible things are going to happen next. Her parents vanish from her dream and Yuki starts crying as the sauce bottle tells her that her parents were killed because the assassins came to take her, and even her sister was involved. Yuki lives through her horrid past where she lost her emotions after the death of her parents and gave in to her training to become a cold-blooded murderer. When her sister learnt this, she told Yuki that she hated her and threw away the bell that their mother had given them. The voice keeps telling her that she has no choice but to remain an assassin because that is her purpose on Earth. Yuki feels lost when suddenly, the voice changes into that of her teacher, and she finds him in front of her, asking her to return to work. Suddenly, Yuki wakes up as Hito calls her name. He asks if she is fine because he could hear her groaning in sleep. She suddenly hugs him tightly and pulls him onto the bed with her. Hito starts vibrating like your mom's favorite toy because this simulation is too much for a virgin like him. Yuki apologizes for being forceful, but asks him to let her stay like this for a while because she needs it. He finds that she is trembling from fear and asks if she had a nightmare. Yuki affirms, saying that it was a dream from her past and she doesn't want to talk about it. Hito suddenly starts patting her back to help her relax and go to sleep because that is what his mother used to do when he was scared. And it works on Yuki too. The next day at school, Hito's friends are shocked when Yuki asks them about the upcoming festival. They ask her how does she not know about the famous Katsuda festival that is a grand tradition of their school. It consists of the music festival, the sports festival, and the cultural festival. All the classes take part in it, and the winner gets a special version of the Katsuda sauce. Yuki starts drooling on hearing about the sauce, but then Hito's friends say that since they are freshmen who don't know much about the festival, they probably won't be even on the podium. They say that the cultural festival matters the most in the results, and then there are their scores in the exam as well. On that note, Hito asks Yuki about her performance in the recent exam, and she shows him that she got 42 marks, that is barely above the failing grade. She is really proud of that, but as she learns that the class average marks are also counted in the result for the festival, she grows afraid that she will bring down the class average single-handedly. Hito tries to calm her down, saying that as long as she passes, it is all good. Later, Hito and Yuki go to meet with Nita and get their weekly quota of Katsuda bread according to their deal. Yuki thanks Nita for it because she had been suffering from sauce withdrawal symptoms the entire week. Nita tells them to go back to their class because she has to grade some tests, and as they head back, they begin talking about the class average scores that will be counted in the festival. On hearing this, Nita tells Yuki that she is going to bring down the class average for sure, because she didn't even write her name on the answer sheet for the physical education test, and that means she is going to fail. Yuki panics, but Hito tries to cut a deal with Nita to let them write the name right now. She tells them that they will have to do her work for free and the bread deal is off if they want to get this chance, but Yuki is willing to pay this price because she wants to win the festival and get the special sauce. Suddenly, a gust of wind passes by, and then Nita finds Yuki's name written on the answer sheet. She is shocked and asks how could she be so fast. But before Yuki can say anything, Hito decides to play Saul Goodman and says that the name must have been always there, but Nita must not have seen it earlier. Nita realizes that she got lawyered and decides to let Hito get away with it this time. After she goes, Hito asks Yuki what did she do, and she says that it was not her. The person who wrote her name is hiding behind the wall, and she is glad that she could help Yuki. However, Yuki has noticed her, and she goes to thank her. The pink-haired girl is Naka, the same one who was watching them in the market, and she turns red as she finds Yuki close to her. She stammers a lot, but then introduces herself as their classmate and tells Yuki that she knows of a way to win the festival. The truth is that the girl Naka is the descendant of the prestigious Hikage family who have passed down their martial arts for generations. Naka is still learning how to hone her skills under the guidance of her elder brother Taka, who acts stern on the outside, but he actually cares a lot about his sister. He is also the student council president of the school where Hito studies, and he seems to be especially wary of Yuki, who is in the same class as his sister, and her background has a lot of plot holes. He thinks that she may be an enemy who can harm his sister, so he decides to investigate her personally. Meanwhile, the school festival has already begun, and the theme Hito's class is following is an animal cafe. Hito, Yuki, and Naka are packing candies backstage, and Naka reveals that her brother has never appreciated her. She says that he is a perfectionist, and she is clumsy, so she wants to use this chance to improve her image in his eyes. She thinks that even if she doesn't win, if her brother sees her taking part in the class activities, he will acknowledge her a little bit. Naka has another reason she wants to win, but she shies away from speaking it in front of Yuki. Hito sees that Naka is always flustered around Yuki, and he wonders what is going on in her mind. He then thanks Naka for telling them in advance about what the event is going to be this time. It is going to be a game of cops and robbers, so athletic abilities are going to play a big role in it. Suddenly, a man dressed as a huge bottle of Katsuda sauce comes there, and Yuki panics. The man inside the costume turns out to be Hito's delinquent friend Tega, who is a longtime fan of the sauce, and he declares that he will take part in the event wearing this costume because no one can beat Katsuda sauce. Tega is confident that his team with Yuki and Naka will bring home the first prize. Hito says that he has never seen Naka too active in the physical education classes, and she nervously tells him that she just doesn't want to stand out. Yuki asks him not to worry because she has faith in Naka's abilities, and she promises to do her best in beating Naka's brother's team. Naka repeats her words, and her brother who had come to the cafe to spy on her gets furious, thinking that Yuki is turning his sister against him. Later, as Hito and his friends are eating lunch together, Tega says that he will wear the sauce costume while participating in the event to attract the attention of the media, which makes Hito worried because it might be harmful for Yuki to show her face on the news. Before he can ask her anything, his sister comes there along with his short friend, and he and Tega go down to talk with them. In the meantime, Naka timidly asks Yuki if she can become her friend. Yuki agrees without hesitation, and Naka is overjoyed. However, as Hito asks her and Yuki to come to see the cultural festival, she runs away, saying that she has some work to do. Hito asks Yuki what they were talking about, and in return, she asks him what exactly is friendship. On the other hand, the elated Naka goes to spy on the student council to learn more about the game so that she can help Yuki, but what she finds completely stuns her. Soon, the competition begins, with the idol Nasuka joining them as a celebrity host. Her partner explains that the main event is basically a 1 versus 3 game of tag in which the student council president Taka will have to capture 3 students from the other team, and if any one of them escapes, their team wins. However, to make the game more interesting, everyone will have to wear the uniforms that match with their class themes. This was what Naka heard earlier, and she apologizes to Yuki about it. Yuki tells her that friends are there to help each other out in times of need, because that is what she heard from Hito. She is also glad about the new rule, because the wolf costume hides her face and prevents other assassins from finding her. Meanwhile, Taka is fawning over his sister even though it doesn't show on his face, but she gets nervous on seeing him and hides behind Yuki. This makes Taka really furious, and as soon as the game starts, he starts bulldozing the participants one by one. Only Yuki's team is left now, and Tega gets carried away thinking that his favorite singer is watching him. He challenges Taka to a one-on-one, but gets ratioed instantly. With that, Taka turns his furious gaze towards Yuki, who realizes that she has no choice but to fight him. Taka attacks her, but she grips his hand tightly so that he can't throw her away. He grabs her tail to gain advantage, and then suddenly, Naka decides to sacrifice herself to save her only friend. She uses a smoke bomb, and when it disperses, Taka throws his sister away instead of Yuki, who is safe. She begins to wonder why did Naka sacrifice herself. But then she remembers Hito's words that friends are the people we can do both silly and serious things with, and all that matters is how they can make each other's lives better. She wonders what can she do for Naka, and on the other hand, Taka is in trauma because he threw his sister with his full strength. He stares Yuki dead in the eye, and she knows that she can easily get away from him. But the problem is that Taka smells like katsuta sauce, and she can't seem to get away from him. Suddenly, he pounces on her, but Yuki clashes with him head-on, holding him back. Everyone including Taka is shocked that someone can match his strength. But the only thing on Yuki's mind is food. Taka tells her that he won't let anyone come between him and his sister. But even more important than that, he won't let anyone approach his sister with impure intentions. He tells Yuki that she has no idea how special of a relation friendship is to his sister, and he has seen her hurt because of it once, and he won't let that happen twice. He tells Yuki that he will never let her sister have any fake friends as he tries to throw her away. But then Yuki thinks that she must prove that she is a true friend. She suddenly uses Taka's momentum to slam him to the ground, causing the entire audience to gasp, and then rushes towards the goalpost where Naka is waiting for her. Only 20 seconds are left before the game ends, and Taka chases after Yuki, determined not to let her win. Yuki goes straight to Naka, telling her that she didn't understand the essence of friendship earlier, but now she does. She says that she will be very happy if she can become someone special to Naka, and then kneels down before her to reaffirm their friendship. Naka turns red on hearing this, but then suddenly, Taka arrives there and grabs Yuki just as the whistle blows. She was captured at the last moment, and even though she touched Naka and freed her, she did not go out of the jail, which means that their class loses the game despite having an advantage. Taka wins, and Yuki is dumbfounded because second place means no katsuta sauce. She stops functioning, and then the media rushes to the ground to take an interview of the two main players. Naka suddenly remembers Yuki saying that getting her face on camera would be a bad thing, and right now, she is not in the condition to hide it. She looks around for all the available resources and quickly comes up with an idea. She throws a smoke bomb again, and within a couple of seconds, she puts Tega in the wolf costume and Yuki in the sauce costume. Hito and Riko arrive there just then because they were worried about Yuki, and Naka says that she is safe. They guide her away from the field while the media swarms Taka and Tega. They go behind the school building, where Naka apologizes for making their team lose, but Yuki says that it was because she did not understand the rules well. She says that since they are friends, they should share success and failure with each other, and Naka is moved. Taka and his cronies arrive there and tell Naka that they should get home now. The big Jimbro then gives Yuki another death stare because he thinks she is turning his sister gay, and tells her that if she hurts Naka, she is going to pay. At night, Hito finds Yuki by herself on the rooftop while the rest of the students are enjoying the live concert. She begins telling him about her complex feelings about the cultural festival, and Hito sums them up as the fact that she enjoyed it. Yuki realizes that he is right, and then Hito says that even though they lost this year, they can always try to win the next time. This comes as a shock to Yuki because she is not used to thinking about so far in the future. Till this point, she felt like she could die at any given moment, but now she has hopes for a tomorrow that will come with new possibilities. The next day, Hito and Yuki invite Naka over, and she shows them her ninja skills by throwing shurikens at a target. They applaud for her, and Naka timidly tells them that she is not even so talented, and her brother is the real deal. She says that sometimes she wishes that she was not born with this power and responsibility, and life would be better if she could just be a normal girl. Her words deeply touch Yuki, and she tells Naka that she understands exactly how she feels. She tells her that she also wants to be normal, and they begin bonding over their shared dreams while Hito smiles on seeing this heartwarming scene. Just then, Nida arrives behind him, and says that he is finally on the path to establish his own harem, and he already has 2 cute girls there. She asks him who is he going to pick for tonight, presenting herself as the third option, and Hito freaks out, trying to tell her that he is not interested. As Yuki shows off her knife-throwing skills to Naka, Nida snuggles with Hito, asking if he wants to cop a feel of heaven. The very next moment, her lollipop is shattered by Yuki's knife, and she sincerely apologizes, saying that she was trying to throw it at the tree, but her hand slipped. Nida is furious and afraid at the same time, but she can't say much openly. She just tells Yuki to be more careful, because if she kills her, she is not getting any information on her sister. After hearing that, Naka asks Nida if she is also not an ordinary person. She tries to introduce herself, but Nida reveals that she knows that Naka is the daughter of a ninja family. She says that she lives on collecting and selling information, and then grabs Naka's face, saying that she knows that she was the one who wrote Yuki's name on the question paper. Naka is intimidated, but as Nida feels Yuki's murderous gaze on her, she immediately backs away. After a while, Nida tells them that she is going to China on a mission, so she might find some information about Yuki's sister. However, she is not going to search too deeply, because then she might run into trouble with the Dragon's Nine, since it is Yuki's old home. Yuki says that she doesn't know anyone besides her master there, and then Nida takes her leave, telling them to spend an intimate Christmas together. Hito gets flustered on hearing this, and then suddenly, Naka asks him if he and Yuki are really dating despite being cousins. Hito gets flustered as he denies that, and says that he and Yuki are not close like that. He asks her to affirm but is taken aback as he sees Yuki blankly staring at him. She had been thinking about her old organization this entire time, and says that she suddenly realized that she was always alone there, but now she has more people to protect. Hito thinks that her feelings for him are that of a familial love and not a romantic one, but he is fine with that. Suddenly, it starts snowing, and soon after that, Hito receives a message from his dad, informing him that he will return home for Christmas. The next day, it is Christmas, and their backyard has a thick layer of snow on it, and Machai immediately jumps outside to play. Hito creates a tiny snowman, and Yuki decides to ape him, but she hasn't got much skill in sculpting, and her snowman is deformed from all angles. Hito tells her not to mind it because it reflects her individuality, and Yuki believes him. Soon, however, Machai jumps towards them and destroys just her snowman, devastating her. Hito tells her to forget about it, further saddening her, but then he gets a call from his dad and goes back inside to receive it. He appears uncomfortable the entire time, and then tells Yuki that he is going over to Riko's house for a bit. Yuki understands, but she makes a request of him. As Hito returns from his mom's house, he is feeling really cold and wonders why did Yuki request to meet him in the market. He wonders if she wants to eat out, when suddenly, he sees a huge crowd staring at something. He also joins them, and to his surprise, they were staring at Yuki, who is dressed like a model and waiting for Hito. She puts her scarf around his neck, telling him that she warmed it for him. Hito freaks out as he thinks that other people will think they are dating since they are doing this on Christmas. However, Yuki holds his hand and tells him that it is her intention. She tells Hito that they should date, and he starts trembling, wondering what she means. Yuki tells him that when she saw him looking upset and uncomfortable earlier, she called Riko for advice, and she told her to take him on a date to lift up his spirits. Yuki says that she wants him to be happy and cheerful since it is Christmas, and the embarrassed Hito decides to take up her kind offer. They hold hands as they walk through the market, and Hito begins wondering about his relationship with Yuki again. Suddenly, it starts snowing, and Hito says that he loves snow. Yuki starts laughing and blushing at this, because her name also means snow. She says that even though she knows that Hito is not talking about her, hearing him say that he likes snow makes her feel good. Hito turns red on hearing this, his heart beating out of control, but he can't stop being drawn towards Yuki. The next day, Riko comes over and tells her brother how she helped Yuki pick up her date outfit so that she could have maximum impact on him. He is still flustered by what happened yesterday, and asks Riko if she is sure that Yuki has romantic feelings for him. He finds it hard to imagine that she can have such feelings, but Riko is confident that Yuki likes him too much, and she is not yet aware of her feelings. Hito still finds it hard to believe, so Riko pulls out an app that tests the love compatibility of people who are not couples yet. Hito doesn't believe in such apps, but Riko tells him that it is pretty accurate, and one of her friends proposed to her crush after seeing their score, and now they are dating. She begins asking Hito questions about his and Yuki's interaction, and the answer to them is positive. Hito starts getting more and more self-conscious as the questions become more direct, But at the end, when Riko asks if he or Yuki have ever said that they like each other in a non-romantic context, Hito lies and says that they have not. With just one answer in negative, his score for mutual affection with Yuki comes at a whopping 96%, and Riko tells Hito that he and Yuki are a couple already. He gets even more embarrassed by this, and just then, Yuki returns home from grocery shopping. Hito finds that he has no issue talking with her about normal things, but Riko is not going to let them rest at that. She suddenly starts asking Yuki the same questions she asked Hito, and with each question, he gets more embarrassed. Yuki answers all the questions with yes, and her score is 100%. Well, now Riko is confirmed that there is 196% mutual affection between her brother and his maid, and she is confident that Yuki is soon going to be her sister-in-law. Later, they have dinner while sitting under the comfy table, and Riko begins to reveal embarrassing details about Hito. He panics because he doesn't want Yuki to see his childish side, but Riko can guess that, and she tells that to Yuki as well. Hito is furious now, and he decides to teach his sister a lesson. He tries kicking her under the table, but even after many successful attempts, she doesn't give a reaction. He wonders what is wrong and peeks under the table, where to his surprise, he finds that he had been kicking Yuki the entire time, but it was nothing more than a nudge for her. However, she has turned red, thinking that Hito was trying his hand, or more accurately his leg, at the under-the-table flirting she has only seen in movies. Hito freaks out too on realizing what he had been doing for the past 5 minutes, and seeing them both turn red, Riko declares that this must be because of a secret between the two lovebirds. The next morning, Hito finds Yuki sleeping right next to him and suddenly gets flustered. He silently gets out of the bed and goes outside while hiding something from Yuki, who wakes up on hearing his footsteps. Once outside the door, Hito begins beating himself up because he can't come to terms with his feelings. Lately, Yuki has been having too many nightmares, and he told her that she could sleep next to him if it made her feel better, and she jumped on the offer. However, now he regrets saying such a bold thing, because being close to her makes him awkward. He hasn't been able to get much sleep lately because Yuki is always near him, and he wonders what should he do now. Just then, Yuki opens the door and asks if he is alright. He tells her that today is the annual deep cleaning day, so he woke up early, but that is just a far-fetched excuse. As he goes to freshen up, Hito realizes that he can't be a wimp forever. However, as he thinks about confessing to Yuki, the image of his childhood crush comes to his mind, who once rejected his confession, telling him that he didn't love her. He just wanted someone to be around him. Meanwhile, Yuki has taken Hito's deep cleaning day story for truth, and she starts mopping the floor after collecting all the garbage. She remembers how she was humiliated the first time she tried mopping the floor, but now is the chance to redeem herself. She is confident that she can do it, but Mochai has other plans. By the time Hito comes there, Yuki is again on the floor, drenched with dirty water, and Mochai is standing on her head, waving around his towel. She apologizes to him, but Hito knows it is not her fault. He picks up the dog and tells Yuki to take a warm shower, but as he sees her in the wet shirt, his heart starts beating at 200 beats per minute. He turns red from embarrassment and immediately runs to the bathroom, thinking that it is wrong of him to have dirty feelings about someone as innocent and naive as Yuki. He suddenly remembers how his mother left him, and then even his crush left him alone after rejecting him. Hito thinks that he can't survive Yuki leaving him, when she knocks on the door and asks if he is fine because he has been acting odd since morning. Hito opens the door to tell her that he is fine, but to his surprise, Yuki is sitting on her knees, her lap ready to serve as his pillow. She really wants him to lay his head on her lap to forget his worries, but Hito doesn't want to do that, not when his emotions are already in a turmoil. He tells Yuki that it is embarrassing for a high school student to put his head in a woman's lap, and she suddenly gets upset. She asks Hito if he has grown bored of her, and then suddenly starts crying, saying that she is just a failure after all. She is shocked by her tears because she has not cried in a very long time, and Hito is completely rattled. He wonders if he should comfort Yuki or just run away, and in the end, he decides to send her to take a bath before she catches a cold. Yuki obeys and goes to the bathroom, and Hito realizes that he chose the worst option to respond to her breakdown. He wonders what is wrong with him, and on the other side of the door, Yuki thinks the same. After that moment, Yuki becomes really sentimental and cries at the smallest thing, apologizing even when it is not her mistake. She first cries when Hito points out that she forgot to buy radishes, and later, as he says that Mochai is getting too fat, she cries again because she has been overfeeding him. Things become so bad that she starts crying and apologizing even when she sees street cats fighting or a leaf falls from a tree. Hito tries telling her that it is not her fault, but doesn't know how to make her feel better. He still allows her to sleep next to him when she is having nightmares, and because of that, he can't get even a little bit of sleep. He decides to take a nap during the day of New Year's Eve, while Yuki is busy doing chores. She soon comes to ask him out for grocery shopping, but he is gone and has left a note saying he will be back soon. She is a bit upset on reading that, but goes shopping along with Mochai. The market she usually goes to is completely closed because it is the end of the year, and Yuki has to go to a supermarket, which is a completely new environment to her. She decides to buy some roast beef for dinner, but as she returns home, she finds Hito preparing dinner for them, and he has also bought some roasted beef. Yuki suddenly starts crying and apologizes for making a mistake yet again. She calms down after a while, but as they start eating, she resumes crying once again. Hito feels pathetic watching this because he has been making Yuki cry despite his best efforts to make her happy. That night, he decides to sleep on the couch, and Yuki covers him with a blanket. The next day, it is the new year, and Riko comes there to take Hito and Yuki to their first shrine visit of the year. Yuki tells her that it will be hard because Hito is sleeping too soundly, and she has been unable to wake him up. Riko is not happy that he is sleeping late even on such a special day, because it is not just New Year, but also his birthday. Yuki suddenly starts crying on hearing this because she didn't even know her master's birthday. Riko is shocked to see her cry, and Yuki says that her tear glands seem to be malfunctioning as she cries over just anything. She says that she won't be able to stop her tears, so it is best for her to stay inside, and Riko understands. She decides to go to the shrine with her friends and tells Yuki to look after Hito. Yuki then goes inside, and she finds Hito's smartphone on the ground. Suddenly, Naka texts him, saying she wants to go to the shrine with him and Yuki. Yuki decides to accompany her and finds Naka in the shrine wearing traditional clothes while she is in a fashionable outfit. Naka is surprised that Yuki came alone, but she gets the bigger shock when she realizes that she doesn't know the importance of the year's first shrine visit. She explains that everyone tells the gods their wishes on this day, and they can draw slips that tell their fortune for the rest of the year. Yuki decides to draw a fortune slip, but she starts crying on reading that she has uncertain luck, and she might lose and part ways from many things. Naka takes her outside, where Yuki says that this must mean that she is going to go away from Hito this year. She says that his attitude towards her has suddenly changed, and he has been distancing himself from her. She starts crying again, saying that he doesn't need her anymore, and he is going to leave her. She says that whenever she thinks that she is going to be away from Hito, she can't stop her tears from flowing. Naka doesn't know how to console her, so she starts telling Yuki about the time she couldn't stop her tears. She says it happened when her mom died, and Yuki starts bawling even harder after hearing that. Naka tells her that her mother used to say that tears overflow when people have too many emotions bottled up inside. So she advises Yuki to let her tears flow freely so that the burden on her heart becomes lighter. She says that if she keeps crying, the grief will pass, and she will be able to smile once again. Yuki feels better on hearing this, and Naka tells her to cry to her heart's content before they go to make their wishes before the gods. Later, they go to the shrine to make their wishes, and Yuki prays that she can continue living with Hito and all her friends. Meanwhile, Hito is still sound asleep when he gets a call from his dad, who is finally back in town. Hito doesn't wake up to pick the call, so his dad starts heading home by himself silently. On the other hand, as Yuki walks back home along with Naka, she tells her that it is Hito's birthday today. Naka gets excited to hear that, and she tells Yuki that she should buy a good gift and then wait till they are both alone to give it to him. Yuki has no idea what she can give as a gift, and Naka asks her what Hito likes. Her first thought is the pork cutlet they get from the Katsuda store, but Naka says that it isn't special enough to be a birthday gift. Yuki thinks some more, and she realizes that Hito is fond of action figures. However, she doesn't know that they are called action figures and tells Naka that Hito likes dolls, Fortunately, Naka is a smart one, and she leads Yuki to a store selling action figures. She spots a toy that Hito already has, and decides to buy it for him, thinking that he will like it. Naka tells her that this one is like a lottery, and she needs to keep playing till she gets what she wants. Yuki immediately gets to work, but after a few rounds, she only gets shiny ones, and not the one that looks like Lucario on crack. She starts crying, thinking that she can't do anything right, and Naka struggles to calm her down. Just then, a Dilf comes there, and suddenly asks Yuki if she would like to learn a spell to get the right toy from the gacha machine. Yuki is curious, and the man tells her that the first thing she should do is get rid of her tears, because evil spirits live in them and eat away the confidence. He keeps talking like he has forgotten his schizo medicines today, and then tells Yuki that she needs determination and killing instinct to get the machine to listen to her. Well, she is so desperate that she believes him, and practically threatens the gacha machine that she will kill it if she doesn't get the desired toy this time. Naka and the man are shocked by her intensity, but surprisingly, this trick works, and she gets Lucario on crack. Yuki is overjoyed and thanks the man, who tells her that he was in a situation like this once when he was trying to buy his son a toy, so he couldn't leave her alone. He then walks away to do his shopping, and Yuki finds him cool and kind. On the other hand, Riko wakes Hito up with a karate chop to the head, and asks how long is he going to sleep on his birthday. She tells him that their dad is going to be home anytime now, and before Hito can fully process that, he sees Yuki's note that she is going to the shrine. Hito panics on reading that because he has not yet told Yuki about his dad, and Riko finds that absurd because he should have done that earlier since they love together. These words suddenly send Hito in a downward spiral, and he says that communication is not easy even with family members. He still remembers the day his mom left, and he couldn't ask his dad the reason. He couldn't even ask him the reason behind the scary expression on his face, and after that day, their relationship started to get strained. Soon, his father went to work abroad and rarely came home, so he has never had a chance to ask him the reason for his divorce. Now that he thinks about introducing Yuki to him, he is afraid that his father will be angry at both of them. Suddenly, he gets a text that snaps him out of his flashback. It is from Naka, who tells him to cheer Yuki because she drew a bad lot. Within seconds, Yuki returns to the house with her eyes swollen and decides to change into her maid outfit quickly. Hito immediately tells her that his dad is returning and he has no idea about her being an assassin. He tries giving her a suggestion, but he decides against it. He thinks that if he tries to hide Yuki from his dad, he will be trampling over her hard work to become normal, so he swears to protect her no matter what his dad says. Riko starts fawning him and calling him the Rizzler, but asks him to say these things to Yuki's face for better results. Just as they are bickering about it, their dad comes home, and he is the same Dilf Yuki met in the market. Riko runs to hug him, but Hito is quite nervous and distant. He then decides to tell his dad about Yuki, and by the time she comes downstairs after changing, the dad has learned all the important bits about her. They sit down to talk while Hito prepares coffee, and his dad remarks that he knew Yuki's old master, who was a respectable person. They start talking about how he met her old master, who asked him to take her in after his death, and Hito just listens to them, feeling that he is the only one being left out of the loop, just like during his parents' divorce. He starts feeling lonely and then realizes that there are things that he didn't know about his dad or Yuki. He suddenly understands that he is always assuming what the other person is thinking, and he has never directly confronted them to learn the truth. Meanwhile, his dad has finished his chats with Yuki, and he decides to go to Riko's place to talk to her mom. Riko tells her that he should stay over to celebrate Hito's birthday, but he replies that Hito doesn't even like his birthday. He then congratulates him for turning 16 and then gives him a gift from him and his estranged wife. He says that after that, he is going to attend a company meeting and then return abroad, which makes Hito feel insecure that he won't be able to have a proper conversation with his dad even this time. As his dad and Riko sit in a cab, Hito decides to overcome his hesitation and holds the cab's door, asking his dad permission to let Yuki stay here. His dad just stares at him and then asks what he wants to do, and Hito says that he wants Yuki to stay with him. His dad tells him to follow through his decision, and says that he will explain things to his mom. He leaves with that, and Hito feels better because it is the first time he was able to convey something to his dad. Behind him, Yuki is feeling giddy because Hito said that he wants her to stay. But before she can speak to him, he gets a call from his dad, who asks him to hand over the phone to Yuki. He then tells Yuki that Hito has started to change because of her, and asks her to keep looking after him in the future. Yuki is overwhelmed by her emotions, and after the call ends, she gathers all her courage to ask Hito to see the night view with her. Just as he agrees, she lifts him in her arms and jumps to the rooftop, panting and clutching her heart that can barely handle all this stress. As the sun starts to set, Yuki wishes him a happy birthday and gives him the action figure she bought for him. But to her shock, she had gripped it too tightly, breaking it. She is on the verge of crying again, but Hito understands her feelings now. He realizes how tense she must have been when he was trying to avoid an honest conversation with her, and he no longer wants to do that. He decides to be honest about his feelings with her, and tells her that this action figure is from his favorite show in his childhood back when his parents were together. He tells her about his insecurities and how he has been avoiding his father ever since his mom left, and wonders if he can patch up their relationship. Hito then tells Yuki that he doesn't want his relationship with her to spoil because of a lack of communication, and that is why he wants to live like they are a family who shares everything together. Hearing his words remind Yuki of her family, and she starts crying again, but this time they are tears of joy. She asks Hito if she can really become his family, and he impatiently tells her that only she can do that because he likes her. He eagerly awaits her response, and when she tells him that she likes him too, he doesn't sense any romantic feelings behind it, and it is his turn to cry. When he returns to his room, Hito breaks down into tears, thinking that even though he worked up the courage to confess his feelings to Yuki, all he got in return was a heartbreak. However, he is overlooking the fact that Yuki is a slow learner when it comes to matters of the heart. She is cutting cabbage in the kitchen, when suddenly, Hito's confession pops up in her mind. She starts recalling his smiling face again and again, and suddenly clutches her heart as some feelings she is not familiar with start surfacing inside.